Episode of Co-op Cinema, hosted by Euricse. We're a research center based in Italy, and Around the World .coop, a fabulous team of researchers and video makers making documentaries and so much more now that Sara will tell you about. But we're here today to focus on two of the Around the World documentaries that were filmed over the last year and a half. Sara can be more precise about that. One in Italy and one in Poland. And the focus of today's webinar is on empowering communities and how these types of cooperatives can promote community engagement, participation, and develop their local territories. So really happy to have you all here with us today, and very happy to continue this collaboration that we have with Around the World .coop and with Co-ops for Development. So I will turn it over now to Hannah Persson from Cooperatives Europe, and she's representing the team for Co-ops for Development today, one of the key sponsor of the Around the World .coop project. So Hannah, thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Ilana. I'm very happy to be here. And so as Ilana introduced, my name is Hannah Persson, and I work as an education and training officer for Cooperatives Europe, and specifically within the partnership between International Cooperative Alliance and the European Commission called Coops for Dev. And I coordinate some initiatives connected to cooperative entrepreneurship, education, and digital innovations, and namely a global mentoring program for young entrepreneurs and an open source software called Coopedia Knowledge Base for resources on cooperative entrepreneurship. So a bit of an introduction to Coops for Dev. ICA and all the regional offices are in partnership with the European Commission on international cooperative development. And this partnership is really important, a really important recognition from the European Commission of the cooperative model and cooperatives as important actors in international development. The partnership has a lot of different aspects. We're conducting a lot of work related to fields like advocacy, research, knowledge sharing, and programming. And we're also doing a lot of work related to visibility. So about the videos today and around the world, I think that all these videos produced by Around the World always manage to capture the individuals that together form people-centered businesses. And as we will see today, these videos really visualize how cooperatives can bring about fantastic impact and be real drivers for local development, particularly due to its inclusive and democratic business form. And this is why we at Coops for Dev really enjoy working with Around the World. These videos are a great complement to so much of what we do within this partnership, as they bring concrete evidence to showcase the role of cooperatives in everyday life. I think that they are inspiring stories to learn about cooperatives, as well as being a source of motivation to join or even start up a new cooperative. And I would say on a personal level, watching these videos makes me really proud to be a part of the cooperative movement. So yeah, I'm really happy to participate in this webinar today, where we will see two cooperatives that really benefit both people and the planet. We really believe that these type of cooperatives are important, that they need to get more visibility. And this is also why we're already working with one of the cooperatives in these videos today on our work connected to cooperative entrepreneurship. We believe that linking entrepreneurship to initiatives that really put people first and bring sustainable local development and act against climate change is perhaps more important than ever before. The Polish cooperative that we will see today are involved as mentors in our program supporting young cooperative entrepreneurs. And I think that they really bring an excellent example of how producers and consumers can come together to raise awareness about food that is good for both ourselves and our health and the planet. So thank you so much for letting me be a part of this webinar. And I really look forward to watching these videos together with you and to listen into the discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Thank you. That's a great introduction to today's webinar, which I am realizing I failed to give you some of the information about how it will be structured, just so you know what to expect today. We are going to be viewing, as Hannah said, these two beautiful documentaries from Casa de Alice in Italy, and apologies for my pronunciation, but I'm going to ask one of the Polish people who I see are here to help me with this, but Cooperative, dobrze, maybe Sara can help also, but apologies in advance. And we are going to be not only watching these videos, but discussing what the key ingredients are, what their impact is, what some of the aspects that can be transferred into other contexts as well. And we're going to be doing this with two researchers, one from Euricse, Jacopo Sforzi. Jacopo, hello. And one from around the world, Cécile Béranger. You see her there. And they're going to be speaking in dialogue after each of the projections of the two videos. So we're going to have the first one, the Italian one, and then some conversation, and then we'll show the second one and some more conversation, and then we'll open it up to questions and discussion from all of you participating today. So you can put questions in the chat, and we'll get to those. We're also streaming on Facebook, so if you're watching us on Facebook, you can put questions in the comments, and we will try to get to those as well. So I want to thank very much Hannah, Jacopo, and Cécile, and of course also Sara Vicari, who I will turn over to now. Sara is the co-founder of AroundTheWorld.coop, and Sara and Andrea together bring their research skills and video making, documentary skills together to make these beautiful products, and that, as Hannah said, really are inspiring videos and are the reason why we wanted to bring everybody together here for this episode, as well as for the first one that we had in November, which you can see on YouTube, which we will put the link in the chat right now. And so I would like to turn it over to Sara to tell us a little bit more about the Around the World project, how it came to be, and how it is that you make these videos, and present for us the first video that we're going to be watching today. So Sara, thank you very much. And thank you to all of our panelists and participants today. Sara.
Thank you very much, Ilana. Thank you for this presentation, and thank you also, Anna, for introducing our partnership so nicely. Indeed, Around the World.coop is an initiative that, as its existence is rooted in the partnership with the International Cooperative Alliance. Because at the beginning it was a dream that Andrea and I had, and then we managed to turn it into reality thanks to this fantastic partnership with the Cops for Dev. So the rationale behind of this project is because, well, I've been a researcher, no, for several years, participatory action researcher with cooperatives. And there is something that I think we share with we are here in an environment with many researchers, is that kind of frustration when you collect data, information, you document stories, and then that knowledge that you're generating is shared only among researchers, right? And the idea was also at the same time, also exactly what Hannah was already saying, people, we are from the movement, and we know how fantastic COPs are and the kind of big impact they bring to sustainable development. But despite this, still, I mean, probably on one side is because cooperators are always very busy in doing things more than communicating, perhaps, but it is also because, I mean, this, because there's been doing a lot in increasing this visibility, and but probably is also kind of the language, that the way that we communicate this. So there was all this kind of thinking that we had with Andrea, that is a video maker, and this is how actually this match came, and we came for this option of combining participatory action researcher with video making. So on one hand, it's really like to have videos that are research-based, so the possibility to bring insights and share with a wider audience research-based insights, so really have the possibility to create a bridge between the wider society, cooperators, civil society as today, and researchers. This is why opportunity like this for us are absolutely important event, are opportunities really to create this link and bridge, and also to create this bridge, to be that this video can be the possibility to be inspirational for communities that probably are thinking to engage into a collective action, but they are thinking how to do it. So these are the kind of impact that we have been very happy to see along this Around the World COP project. What we have done, everything started in 2019, and so working in this way, we have been traveling for 12 countries. We documented 13 cooperative stories. Every time we meet a cooperative, when we approach a cooperative, we always start with the research activities. So we never start by filming, but through focus group discussion and other activities, is cooperators themselves, they assess their own stories, they assess what they have achieved, the challenges, and they create, they develop, they decide how they want to tell their own stories. So we create together a map of the COP story, and this map then is transformed into a video. I can see here some members that participated with us in the activity, so probably at the end will be also nice to explore with them, I mean, this process, because particularly with the Dobson COP was very, very interesting and active and fruitful. So today, it's also interesting to see that we will be basically screening, was actually by chance, but we will be screening the first COP story that we documented and the last one. So the first one in Italy, when we were about to leave for the Around the World trip, and the last one that happened in September, that because of the pandemic, of course, I mean, we came back in October from the Around the World trip, but we couldn't travel. And it's amazing to see for us, I mean, particularly for Andrea and myself, but for the group in itself, that, I mean, if we see the first one and the last one, in the middle, there was a big evolution. Actually, there is a collective action story in itself, that is our Around the World Coop story. We started as a 2-person. Today, we are 6 people, a team that is has the mission to grow, continue doing this activity and providing additional services. But for sure, we will continue telling cooperative stories, combining research with the video making. And today, I'm happy, as you already introduced, there is Cecile from a pillar of our team that can contribute to the discussion with Jacopo. Just a few words about this story. The first one, before leaving you to watch the story. The first one about Casa de Alice. so Alice home. There is an anecdote that I can share with you, because when we were about to leave and to visit this cooperative, basically there was a touristic guide that published an article exactly those days, saying that this cooperative is located in the south of Italy, saying that in that region is between Naples and Caserta city. Basically, that region is not worth to visit, because I mean, there's nothing more than a town dominated by a criminal organization. It's like a black hole. This was said by an official touristic guidebook. And we were so happy to be there and to meet fantastic people, Italian people exploited in the labor market, migrants, women, youth, visionary people that set up social farming and social tailored projects. And they carry out this project in assets confiscated by criminal organizations. So people that really, through collective action, they've made the difference, and they're working to change their territories. So I'll leave you now, watch the story, and I'll leave you then Jacopo and Cecile to have a discussion, and then hopefully to discuss with you all.
Thank you very much, Sara. And while we get the video started, I will just make another technical note that we're going to be projecting the video, streaming it from YouTube for technical reasons, this first video. So you may see the quality a little bit lower, but the second one will be a direct streaming and will be of higher quality. And we will put the links to them on your own.
Pensate, ci sono 27.000 abitanti censiti, a questi si possono sommare altri 20.000 immigrati, però Castelvolturno è un paese che ha più di 100.000 vani, perché la speculazione edilizia è stata enorme, soprattutto da parte dei clan, perché il clan tristemente noto dei Casalesi viveva di edilizia.
Natale di Casal di Principe, ho 68 anni e sono il fondatore dell'associazione Euricse a Maso. L'associazione nasce nel 1989, in un momento della storia di quel territorio in cui era molto forte la presenza dell'immigrazione utilizzata nelle campagne per la raccolta del pomodoro in particolare. Cioè i Masero vivevano in un casolare abbandonato, senza luce, senza acqua, senza niente. In quella notte arrivano questi 3 ragazzi del posto per tentare una rapina, per togliere quei pochi soldi che avevano guadagnato quella giornata, e viene ucciso. Mi rendo conto che però quell'umanità abbandonata e senza diritti e senza nessun tipo di assistenza stava lì e dovevamo fare qualcosa, e quindi insieme ad altri medici e ad altri colleghi mettiamo su questa associazione di volontariato e la dedichiamo a Euricse a Maso.
Da lì si sono avviate tutta una serie di progettualità e attività dell'associazione, per lo più attività di strada attraverso l'unità di strada, che è ancora oggettiva e con la quale portiamo assistenza sanitaria nelle piazze di spaccio e assistenza sociale e sanitaria alle donne vittime di tratta.
Sono già a 55 anni, sono arrivato all'età di 19 anni qua in Italia, da Algeri. Mi hanno mandato espulso 2 volte a Algeri, sono tornato. Dall'83, dopo un anno che stavo qua, mi sono caduto nella droga e sono rimasto per tanti anni, penso che sono 24 anni o 25 anni, fino a... stavo malissimo, proprio stavo morendo. Grazie all'associazione Girimaslo fanno anche l'unità di strada, mi hanno portato all'ospedale, stavo proprio in coma e mi sono salvato. Quando sono uscito ho deciso di, anche io faccio l'operatore di strada, e ho cominciato a fare l'operatore di strada con l'associazione Girimaslo.
Nel 2010 il comune di Castelvolturno decise di affidarci questo bene confiscato per fare accoglienza di donne vittime di tratta. Venne spontaneo fondare una cooperativa sociale perché ci sembrava opportuno dare anche una risposta lavorativa alle tante persone, tanti utenti che avevamo conosciuto su strada. Adesso avevamo la possibilità di mettere in piedi una progettualità che potesse rappresentare un'alternativa economica e sociale valida.
Casa Alice, quando siamo entrati dentro, era proprio un disastro. Il giardino era un po', l'erba un po' alta, e dopo 2 anni abbiamo messo la cooperativa, là abbiamo preso cura proprio di, siamo quasi sempre là.
La prima attività messa in piedi dalla cooperativa fu appunto la sartoria sociale, il brand Made in Castelvolturno, che si prefigge l'obiettivo di unire stoffe tipicamente africane con oggettistica, abiti in taglio occidentale. Oggi all'interno della sartoria ci sono 3 sarte, 2 delle quali a tempo pieno, che sono Maureen e Pat.
La cooperazione che noi abbiamo visto sorgere, svilupparsi nel nostro territorio è quella di tipo economico, che cerca di fare economia ma basata su un principio diverso dal passato, dall'economia criminale che aveva utilizzato questa terra, ed è il principio della solidarietà. E quindi il principio è che parte dal presupposto che non debba lasciare nessuno indietro, perché se ce n'è uno che lascia indietro, l'intera economia va dopo.
Poi si sono avviate tutta una serie di altre progettualità, l'attività di educativa attraverso i campi estate liberi, ma anche attraverso l'educativa di strada che pratichiamo quotidianamente, e il supporto scolastico attraverso la ludoteca e il doposcuola, che oggi accoglie circa 30 bambini di qualsiasi etnia.
Io sono Elena, ho 25 anni, abito a Castelvolturno. La mia esperienza con Casa di Alice è nata 3 anni fa. Devo entrare a fare parte del volontariato, maggiormente, tramite una conoscenza, una mia amica che fa parte del socio fondatore della Girimaslo. Mi ha chiesto se potevo venire io a dare una mano con i bambini, perché quello che faccio, io sono educatrice per l'infanzia. Ogni bambino ha una sua storia, ogni ragazza qui dentro ha una sua storia, ognuno di noi ha una storia. Io vengo a Casa di Alice ma non per lavoro, cioè io vengo a Casa di Alice perché mi sento di venire a Casa di Alice, perché amo stare qui, amo stare in contatto con queste persone, con i ragazzi che vengono a trovarci ogni anno, ogni estate, con i bambini soprattutto.
La prima arma che abbiamo contro la criminalità organizzata è sicuramente la repressione, l'azione della magistratura, delle forze dell'ordine. È la prima, ma da sola non basta. Perché se in un territorio come Castelvolturno ci sono 155 beni confiscati, una disoccupazione giovanile che arriva al 75% e i ragazzi non hanno punti di aggregazione, punti di riferimento, punti di ritrovo, allora la camorra ha terreno fertile. E quindi ci venne l'idea di creare una cooperativa sociale che desse ai suoi soci e agli utenti la possibilità di inventare il proprio avvenire. Siamo cooperative sociali, ci occupiamo di persone. Abbiamo voluto partire dai percorsi della singola persona, non adattando la persona al lavoro, ma il lavoro alla persona, seguendo le loro aspirazioni. La sartoria è uno strumento, così come l'agricoltura sociale in un altro bene confiscato. Coltiviamo e raccogliamo pomodori con alcuni ragazzi vittime di caporalato che oggi hanno una borsa lavoro e stanno provando ad inventare il proprio avvenire.
Questo qua è quello perfetto, il rosso Ferrari. Voi concentratevi sul colore rosso.
Sono Tommaso, un volontario dell'associazione Jerry Maslow, e qualche anno fa abbiamo deciso di fondare questa cooperativa sociale. L'esperienza stiamo cercando di allargarla attraverso questa ulteriore progettualità, appunto la Buona Terra. Stiamo producendo questo pomodoro da sugo su un bene confiscato alle mafie e viene trasformato in altre realtà sociali come la cooperativa Al di là dei sogni di Sessa Runca, e quindi riusciamo a fare anche un lavoro di rete e di filiera, così come per noi la filiera si completa attraverso la vendita di questo prodotto che non ha soltanto un valore economico, perché dietro c'è tutta la nostra attenzione, il nostro percorso. Viene venduto attraverso le reti di gas nazionali. I primi più attenti sono stati i gas della Brianza, il Desbri.
In tutto sono 10 ettari, se così non possiamo andare più di questo qua. Già abbiamo fatto un lavoro, se per esempio mettiamo qualche progetto, arrivano soldi, possiamo comprare trattori, quello l'altro, possiamo usare tutti i 10 ettari che arriva fino a dove c'è quel ponte là.
Quando abbiamo cominciato a mettere in piedi il progetto di agricoltura sociale in maniera più seria, e si è capito che comunque non stavamo scherzando, non era solo un segno quello che volevamo lasciare, ma lavorare per un'alternativa, allora i clan hanno cominciato a prestare attenzione a questa cosa, tanto che c'è stato l'atto vandalico poco più di 2 settimane fa, con il quale c'è stato bruciato l'impianto di irrigazione. Troppo spesso si dice la camorra è stata sconfitta. Sì, è stata sconfitta per come la conosciamo, ma è ancora ben presente e radicata sui territori.
Catarine Gigi, Catarine Gigia, Catarine Gigi, Catarine Gigia.
Qualche giorno fa, parlando con qualche vicino, ad esempio ancora non credo a quello che ci hanno raccontato relativamente al fatto che, seppur fanno agricoltura intensiva, il prodotto venduto al camion, il pomodoro, viene pagato a 8 centesimi. Cioè, se noi per fare un po' di qualche quintale, diciamo, ci siamo ammazzati di lavoro, e pensiamo che 8 centesimi, se raccogliamo un quintale sono 8 euro. Quale filiera si può sviluppare attraverso queste? Il pomodoro nel nostro caso ci è stato chiesto, l'abbiamo venduto a 80 centesimi. Noi dal basso, facendo rete con gli altri, proviamo ad invertire la rotta.
Meglio che muore cicce no, lo ciucce, che o ciucce porta paglia e cicce no. Catarine Gigi, Catarine Gigia, Catarine Gigi, Catarine Gigia.
Grande Dio, d'età.
Esperienze come quelle di Casa di Alice dimostrano che c'è una forte domanda di un modello economico alternativo, fatto soprattutto di inclusione e di innovazione, che si traducono in esempi molto pratici, che è quello di tenere dentro le persone, di difendere l'ambiente e di avere come protagonista un'intera comunità. Questa è l'esperienza di Castelvolturno, della Campania del Sud, ma anche di tutto il paese, esperienze simili per il recupero dei beni confiscati, per produrre una economia che mette al centro i diritti delle persone con il loro lavoro. Lo strumento che permette tutto questo, che può permettere tutto questo, è la cooperazione e le cooperative sociali.
Sicuramente la cooperativa ti cambia un po', perché ti senti anche un po' responsabile sulle cose, ti senti che c'è qualcosa che mandarla in avanti.
Siamo un gruppo di amici innanzitutto che parte dalla stessa passione per il sociale, da storie fragili che ci tengono unite, dall'amore per il proprio territorio. Ho capito che attraverso l'economia sociale si poteva essere padroni del proprio futuro, protagonisti del proprio riscatto, protagonisti della propria vita, senza persone che ti dicono cosa fare e come farlo, ma farlo insieme alle persone con le quali hai deciso di intraprendere un percorso, perché fondamentalmente con quelle persone stai bene.
Italiani e migranti attraverso delle attività sociali e lavorative possono incontrarsi, stare bene insieme e dimostrare che appunto l'alternativa è possibile.
Per me Casa di Alice è una cosa eccezionale, non riesco a non pensare di stare qua, non riesco.
Okay, we're back here. Thank you so much, Sara, for sharing this video with us and the aspects of the project, explaining the Around the World project. If you're just joining us, we're here with Euricse and aroundtheworld.coop. And now I would like to turn it over to our two researchers, Jacopo and Cecile, to talk about some of the key aspects that emerge from this story. You know, one of the things that is really inspiring to see is how one project kicked off a whole other series of projects. And I know that Jacopo and Cecile are gonna discuss what some of those, you know, what enabled them to do that. So thank you very much for being here with us, and I will turn it over to the two of you.
Thank you so much, Ilana, and I'm happy to be here and discuss about these two amazing COP stories. So I will ask some questions to Jacopo. So the first one is about the pivotal role of social aggregation points and citizen engagement. So in the Casa di Alice cooperative, we have seen that social aggregation points are crucial to actively involve local citizenship. So what typology of instruments do we have to create citizen engagement, according to you, Jacopo?
Yeah, so first of all, I have to think and to say also that this story is very particular because as we have seen, we are in a very particular social, economic and institutional context. The problem of criminality is very stressed during the whole video, so I think it's very important also to think about that. However, I think that in order to be able to really involve people, I think it's very important, it's essential to understand what are the needs and desire of the people who live in a specific place. So social aggregation place must to be able to respond to these needs. So it's important to create a specific place in order to open this place and involve people to satisfy their needs. So thanks to this social aggregation place, I think it's possible not only to meet people, but to share culture and ideas, but also work in order to transform what may seem like a problem. In the video, we saw the problem of immigration, that transform this kind of problem in a resource able to positively contribute to the economic and social development of specific territories. Casa di Alice also is a multi-sectoral cooperative. They show that they do a lot of activities, a lot of different activities. So they have different social aggregation places. So thanks to this kind of different activities, they are able to involve different people with different needs, but also with different kind of sensibility. So you can involve people interested in handicraft product or people more interested in agricultural product. So I think to be able to be a multi-sectoral cooperative could be also a good point in order to involve different kind of stakeholders. Moreover, Casa di Alice, and this is very important, I think that show how it's possible to promote economic activities, not only social activities, in a legal way. For people who live in areas like Castelvolturno, characterized by high criminality, it's very important the role played by Casa di Alice in order to promote this kind of a cultural change. Of course, it's not easy, but thanks to the many different activities that they turn on, it's important to involve people in order to create this kind of cultural change, to show them that it's possible to think the same way in a different way. So it's important because they can involve not only users or consumer, but they can involve also producer, for instance. If you think about the agricultural sector, they produce tomatoes, as we have seen, but maybe they thanks showing this model, they can involve also local producer, talking with them to say that it's possible to do the same kind of activities, but in a different way. So I think that the social aggregation plays are very important in order to promote a new way of doing economic activities, a new way in promoting social activities, but also to promote this very fundamental cultural change in the mind of the people that are used to live in a very difficult place.
Thank you for this answer. And I think we have a lot of similarity with Dobje Cooperatives, the second cup story that we will screen later. So my second question is about the role of social agriculture. So in this case, what's specifically the role of social agriculture in the creation of resilient communities?
Social agriculture or social farming, according to the different translation that we have in English, because of course it's a phenomenon that it's spread all over the Europe, but also in other outside of Europe. So sometimes it's very difficult to translate, to use the same meanings, the same words. So sometimes we can find social agriculture, sometimes social farming. What is important, I think, it's again the multifunctional strategy behind these kind of activities, because the idea is to bridging together social and agricultural practices. So two words that from many years are completely separated. Here in Italy, for instance, it's quite funny when we think about social farming, because the people that want to invest in this sector sometimes go to the public authorities and they say, no, you are doing agricultural activities, so you have to go to the agricultural sector. Then they go there, no, you do social activities, so you have to move another office. So sometimes it's very difficult to define what are social farming and social agriculture and what the people are doing under this kind of umbrella words. But I think it's very important in order to promote resilient community, because this kind of new way of agricultural practices, it's to offer new solution to socio-economic and environmental challenges. They promote the long term of sustainable development of rural areas, mainly through, of course, different kind of activities. Think about biodiversity conservation, the preservation of the population and preservation of the cultural heritage of local communities. But at the same time, social farming also, it's very important because positively contribute to a more balanced use and allocation at the same time of different local resources. In the video, we saw how it's possible to sell the same product with a high price, because behind that product, people recognize the added values of the product. So the social value that this product is able to promote, not just the good quality, of course, of the tomato, but also this kind of added value. Then I think that social farming is also a system, a new system of food provision, and often as an alternative to long supply chain. It is able to support family and small farmers at the same time. But it's also a very important because it's able to generate new employment opportunity and social services. We saw that in Casa di Alice, they involve people from outside, like immigrants. But in social farming, we can also provide new services for elder people, for child, for people with different kind of disability, like physical or cognitive disability. And social farming, I think it's very important to enhance the social capital accumulated at local level, because they are able to build a new, strong relationship among different local actors. So private, public, and civil society sector. So I think it's a new way to increase the social cohesion of a local community.
Thank you, Jacopo. So yeah, my last question. So this video provides also much food for thought, so about the importance of rethinking the economy, namely by creating a people-based economy. However, concretely, how can we go through this direction?
Good question. It's not easy to answer, and I would like also to use this last question also after the second video, especially in the debate, because I think it's very important to think with many people about how it's possible to redefine the economy in the nowadays. It's not an easy process, of course. It's not easy because, of course, we are usually we must to compare these new models with the traditional economic way that we see over all the days. But I think it's possible. I think it's possible if we invest, first of all, in more innovative economic entities that represent the interest of the community and act with explicit aim to benefit the local community, not just with one stakeholder. So to think in a broad ways. To invest in new form of democratic participation and empowerment of people, starting from the needs and dreams of the people. In the video, the guy that talked a lot say that social farming, handicraft are just an instrument in order to empower people. So we have to think in opposite ways. First, we have to think about people, their needs, and their dreams, and then think which kind of activities we have to develop. Then people must become actors of their development and not just passive spectators. And this is the very cultural change, I think, because of course, again, it's not an easy process, because usually we want a job with a monthly payment without invest our effort in order to do that. So also change the mentality, it's not easy. To set up a cooperative is not easy. Sometimes we set up a cooperative because we have specific needs to satisfy, but to change also the way how to do our things, it's not easy. But nowadays we must change our mentality because we are in front of different problems that we have in the past. So we have to think about new organization based both on social and economic goals and focus on the promotion of the interest of the broader community. I think that we have to rediscover the added value of a collective action, using cooperation more as a coordination mechanism to promote new socio-economic development pathway based on new network among different local actors. I think that shared history like Casa di Alice, but also the history that we will see in a few minutes, it's very important in order to show, let me use an old but very important and actual slogan, that another world is possible. So we have to think that this case history is very important because they show us that it's possible to do something different for our community, for our interest. Think about community, it's important because we have to think in a different way. if we want to satisfy our needs, we must do that in a collective way. And that's it.
Thank you, Jacopo. And yeah, now we're ready for a second cup stories.
Thank you so much to both of you. Thank you. Definitely provides, as Cecile said, a lot of food for thought, which to remind you, we are going to have the second video now and some more comments from Jacopo and Cecile after that video. And then we're going to open the floor for your questions and for some discussion about these topics. So please feel free to start putting questions into the chat, and we will address those when we get to the debate portion after the second video. So I'm very happy to now turn it back over to Sara to tell us a little bit more about what we're going to see.
Thank you very much, Ilana. And I want to thank you, Cecile and Jacopo, and particularly Jacopo, for what you just said, because you really touch upon you focus on, you put the spotlight exactly on what we wanted to do. So catching the essence of what actually moved people to engage in collective action. And if this can is conveyed through the videos, we are extremely happy because in a way, I mean, behind collective action, there is this. If we want to see sustainable organization from the 3 dimension is exactly this. And we are going now into another story where we can see these 3 dimension combined, the economic, social, and environmental sustainability, dimensional sustainability, with very motivated people behind it. We had this is a story, I love all the stories, of course, of around the world of COP, but this is a story that I particularly love, probably because we have been documenting it in a group where the four of us, the 3 researchers and Andrea as a video makers, but also because I do think that every community should have adopted COP, because it's not only for their specific need, you know, what they will, you will, I don't want to spoil the video, but you will see the need to create a shop to have the possibility to buy and to have access to healthy and affordable food. But it's not only that, it's really this, what they can achieve by achieving this as a main need. I mean, the all other human needs and aspiration that they can achieve at the same time in a very creative and innovative way, because innovation happens on the ground. And I do believe that all these experiences, and together with this, there are plenty, but I do think that we can really learn and be inspired and create and develop new experiences and new stories of collective action. So let's watch now this fantastic story of a community that managed to bridge a urban and rural place and provide organic food at affordable price for everyone. Thank you.
If we buy something 3 times a day and use something 3 times a day at this amount, I think it has a huge impact.
Food for me is definitely meeting with people. I associate food with community, with interdependency.
every meal I think about the community we build because of the link between food, nutrition, and what we do as a community.
For me, food represents many things, like struggle for equality, for example, or struggle for civil rights, like food as a civil right.
I would say our food co-op is basically still the only co-op in Poland that runs stores. It's open for everyone, yet it has members on the different rules than shoppers and has employees as well. I always think of our innovation as this really quirky approach to how the things are done. So I think what we do is we provide food that is healthy or a lot healthier and better than most of the food you can get at ordinary market.
I consider sometimes our business model as an anthill, and each member doing this small shift is like an ant, or like we are cooperating insects, doing something really small all together, creating something really big. Every member of our co-op has to work at least 3 hours per month. Our members make this 3 hours per month work to get the discount at our stores. We run now 2 shops. We are planning to open the 3rd one. I coordinate many members, and I know that it's really important, because without this 3 hours per month, our business model would like collapse. We really depend on our members.
I've been a member of the co-op, well, almost since the very beginning, since the first meeting. I work as a cashier. It's really a miracle what kind of people the cooperative attracts. Many things became easier, but for a very long time, we really depended on people ready to commit their free time. In my life, I've been involved in different initiatives, enough of them to see that often this kind of enthusiasm dies out. Like, people realize they have other priorities, maybe they just get bored or want to move on to something else more exciting, but here we are 7 years later. How the idea came up. So I knew that for sure we need to have a shop and a place where people can come on a regular basis and kind of make the daily shoppings there. So it has to be open 6 days per week. This I knew. I knew we have to employ people, because temporary involvement will never develop the initiative to the state that we want to be able to create some alternative. But how to do it, I really didn't know. I've started to talk with my friends and gather people in 2013. I already had contacts to farmers and experience in being a member of food cooperative. And also I was involved in different groups, like degrowth groups. I had a lot of knowledge, enough knowledge to kind of, and ideas to know what I want to kind of develop, but I was also looking for people with whom I can do it. And that was the time, 2013, to collect all these people, wonderful people with whom we were able to create it. For many years it was a baby, and I'm happy that it's 7 years old, so it's big enough to let it go and allow it to go wherever members want.
I have two roles in the co-op as an employee. I work as a purchaser. I purchase mostly fresh fruit and fruits and vegetables. I stay in touch with the farmers and the small producers. I am also a member of the board. I take part in the decision making when it comes to the whole organization. We have purchasing criteria and purchasing recommendations. So the criteria are that we don't buy the food or other products from big corporations, that we try to support small producers and small farmers. I think one of the very important criteria is seasonal criterion, and it basically says that whatever grows here, which is like broccoli in the season, we have it, but when it's coming from Italy or Spain in the wintertime, we don't order it from there. We make sort of an exception for fruits that don't grow in Poland. That would be oranges from Sicily or avocado from Spain. And this would be very important for us, yes. Whenever we can work with another co-op, we will prefer that to working with just a regular company.
Przed 91 rokiem prowadziłem gospodarstwo dokładnie od 79 roku, ale konwencjonalne. Zdecydowałem się na ekologię także dlatego, że po prostu środki zaczęły przeszkadzać chemiczne i nawozy tak samo. Zaobserwowałem, że ziemia zaczyna jałowieć. Robiły się tak zwane przepłony i uznałem, że nadszedł czas, żeby po prostu odwrócić. I to był mój główny cel, żeby przestawić się na ekologię. To znaczy z kooperatywą zaczęliśmy współpracować, mi się wydaje, gdzieś około 10 lat temu. Jeszcze nie było sklepów. Chociaż nie jestem członkiem, ale jestem dostawcą jak w rodzinie. I to jest takie jakby, no nie wiem, wsparcie duchowe dodatkowe.
Możliwość współpracy z kooperatywą Dobrze jest dla mnie ogromnie ważna, bo dla takiego małego producenta, jakim jestem ja, możliwość pracowania z ludźmi, którzy rozumieją to, że jak gdyby jest różnie, że nie zawsze może jestem w stanie wypełnić wszystkie zamówienia w 100%, tak? Że gdzieś tam się staram, ale nie zawsze jest to możliwe, jest dla mnie ogromnie ważna, dlatego że wydaje mi się, że taką możliwość daje jedynie kooperatywa i właśnie tutaj akurat kooperatywa Dobrze ma swoje sklepy zewnętrzne i jakby ta możliwość, ta elastyczność ze strony kooperatywy jest dla mnie ważna. Więc zawsze jakby kooperatywa daje ten punkt widzenia taki konsumencki, z zasady takim miejscem właśnie, gdzie rolnicy z konsumentami mają możliwość spotkania się.
To jest fajne, no bo mogę, nie wiem czym się pochwalić, zielskiem, no dla mnie to nie jest aż takie. Ale cieszę się, że ktoś chce zobaczyć takie rzeczy, żeby w końcu poznali. Ja zawsze marzyłem, żeby A propos, ci z miasta i ci ze wsi w końcu się razem pogodzili, nie? Czasami tylko w kapustnych we wczesnej fazie, jak nie mogę już sobie poradzić, to od razu szczerze mówię, nie mogę sobie poradzić ekologicznie i mam na przykład cały hektar zlikwidować, to wtedy czasami się wspieram czymś tam. Ale to wszystko klientom mówię, no, żeby nie było. No. Znaczy staram się być taki fair wobec was, wobec kooperatywy i wobec klientów swoich. Nie?
Jest takie przysłowie. Powiedz mi, czym się odżywiasz, a powiem ci, jakim jesteś człowiekiem.
I was born here in Warsaw, right? So I lived most of my life in this big city, right? You're crossing each day thousands of people, and you know, nobody. I've had big issue with this, living in this city, kind of being isolated and kind of feeling lonely. Anyways, you are kind of between people, and still you don't know any of them. You know, some people from university, some people from school, and that's it. The quality of life that's changed for me, being in a cooperative, is like I feel in a small town, like a small neat community of people who are actually around. It's not like only in the shop or only in somewhere else, but we also do those things like workshops, and we join the same workshops because we have kind of a same way of thinking. So I actually feel that's like additional set of 500 friends I have around Warsaw who have the same kind of values and the same kind of routes they go in the city. So it's like a big change of quality of life. So you don't have to be that much isolated, right, anymore.
Więc spółdzielczość w Polsce ma prawie 200-letnią tradycję. Jest to około 10 000 spółdzielni w różnych 15 branżach, w różnych branżach działających. I dodatkowo młodzież organizuje się w tak zwane spółdzielnie socjalne. Jest to spółdzielczość, która angażuje ludzi, którzy są bezrobotni. I to jest dobra inicjatywa i ta forma też funkcjonuje w handlu, szczególnie lokalnie, w środowiskach miejskich i wiejskich, gdzie będzie współpraca samorządu ze społecznością.
This is our new place, and we believe it's a big step for us because it's the first place that we will own that will allow us to host educational meeting and integrational meeting. It will help us to be with values, direct contact and discussing before voting. This is actually important for us. When we make decisions, we don't just vote. We believe argument is more important than the discussion, and vote is just the final step. I believe our store is somehow changing the atmosphere of the district and of the street. It's possible that you can have in the city center various initiatives, not only big banks and luxury stores, that it's also possible for the regular citizen or regular neighbor just to come and do their groceries. It's very important for us to create safe space for the members, for the staff, to create a community that trusts each other, because we make decisions and we operate basing on trust, actually.
When I talked to my parents that I'm going to work at the Coop, they really didn't understand this idea in the same way as I do. Because of the communist legacy, the elder generation understands Coops as a business model which is forced by government. But I see after this time that it changed, and they really started to see the same values in this movement that we appreciate now. We can really change the meaning of the community and of the Coop in Poland.
Many people look at us like, how is it possible that it's working? It's so messy so many times. But I think that's the beauty of it. We are a complete mess that is succeeding in the system that is completely different than completely different to what we do. So I love the co-op because it's different, and I love the co-op because it's going against the stream, not with the stream.
Thank you. Thank you so much again, Sara. This is, there's so much to unpack from this video, and I think we can all relate to it on so many different levels. But now we'd love to hear what Jacopo and Cecile have to say in comments to this. And then again, we will open it up for discussion with all of the participants if you want to put your questions and comments in the chat. I believe we also have with us one of the members of this food cooperative. So if she feels like it, we'd be happy to hear from her as well after we hear from Jacopo and Cecile. So now I will turn it over directly to Jacopo.
Yes, thanks Ilana, and thanks Sara for the video. So first of all, I would like to discuss about a new cooperative model. The video started with the idea to bring together food and community, but also with the needs to meet people, the needs to share, and the desire to rebuild the link between the city and countryside. At the same time, in the video, at the end of the video, we see that some people underline that still exists a sort of mistrust toward the cooperative model, because it's still linked in Poland with the state cooperatives and the communist period. So where did the idea of establish a new cooperative model come from, and what needs does it satisfy?
Thank you, Jacopo, for this question, and I would say hi to Beata that is here with us. So yeah, to answer to this question, here it is important to underline that members of the Dobrze decided to be a cooperative, even in a country where the term cooperative has a complex legacy, let's say. So they have decided to be a cooperative, even if legally they cannot adopt such form. So why did they join the cooperative? So why did they decide to create a cooperative? Because they really wanted to create a new place where they can buy the food that they want at the prices that they want. So the main ambition is to create an alternative to mainstream supermarket and luxury organic stores. So a place that they can own and manage together. They really link the cooperative values to the food democracy. So Dobrze is also a place where members can receive trainings, attend workshops, and simply meet, as it was the case of the previous Coop story. But here it's really important to stress the fact that it's a community, really. So let's say that they answer both to very specific needs, but at the same time, they want to change the mindset, how people purchase food. So as you were saying in the previous with the previous cooperative, it's really important if you want to create citizen engagement to change people's mindset, to just actively involve citizens in reshaping their community. So members want to have the possibility of accessing high quality food at fair price. Let's say this is quite the crucial point of the DOBGE members.
Okay, thanks. So in this new cooperative model, we have seen that members are workers, users, volunteers, even if, of course, they share the same value and goals. They may have different interests or motivation in order to participate inside of the cooperatives. So what are the strategies adopted by the cooperatives in order to involve different stakeholders and in order to involve new people to join the COP and increase the social base of the COP? And then how important are parallel activities, like we have seen, for instance, events to attract new members?
So thank you for this question. And yes, as you said, members are different. So they have staff members and volunteer members that who are the one working in the shop, but also there are, like, I guess 15, if I remember well, staff members. But as you said, members share similar values and objectives, and this is quite important because an important part of the social base are activists, and they're really engaged in reshaping the society where they live. So especially in relation to food and the way they consume food. So DOBGE is a place where members can share ideas, and not only a place where to meet similar people, but a place where they can take action to change what they want to change. And the cooperative implemented interesting strategies to increase the social base. At least there is one person in charge of finding new potential members, is Jakub, that we view in the COP story previously, and then to train them, because all members have to do 3 hours per month, in the cooperative shop. So the welcome training package, let's say, it's quite important because every member should be knowledge about how to the shopping and how be part of the shop. And an interesting aspect here, when we interviewed one of the members, we're saying that your members need to be involved, because if the cooperative want to succeed, members need to be involved at all stages. So they cannot be passive, because everyone has to work at least 3 hours per month. So then, yeah, the cooperative organized trainings and events and workshops related to food, but not only, because as we see in the video, this was a cake party for their birthday anniversary. So they're really creating a community environment, let's say. And soon they will open a third shop where they will create a social cafe where members can meet, work, and learn as well. And moreover, members can meet regularly the farmers, allowing a strong relationship between supply chain actors and members of the cooperative that usually are far from each other. At least I personally don't know a farmer, so this is quite a great opportunity just to link citizens of the city and urban areas to rural areas person. So this, in another side, allow members understanding the needs of organic farmers to follow the cycle of the nature. So let's say that these strong relationships are beneficial both from people living in urban places and people living in rural areas.
Okay, thanks, Cecile. So even if they are a new cooperative model, they are an economic enterprises. So they need to adopt different kind of scaling strategies. The video highlight two main scaling process of the cooperatives. First of all, I think the scaling deep. So they do different activities, as you said now, in order to change the cultural value and belief of people around the food consumption. But also they adopt scaling out strategies. They have 2 shops and now they want to open a third one. aimed to increase the number of people impacted. At the end of the video, said, going against the streams. But do you think that this cooperative model may also have a scaling up impact? I mean, an impact on public policies and more generally on traditional distribution models like big supermarket and large scale retail? And maybe, what do you think about the idea of creating a sort of the European network of food coop?
Thank you for this question. It's quite difficult as the third one that I made for you. So yeah, I think we can just keep asking this question then for the debate. But let's say that members of the Dobrze cooperative really want to show that alternatives to mainstream food distribution are already here. So it's not an alternative for the future because alternatives are already here. So an important part of the social base, as I said, are young activists. So they are living in an empty city center of Warsaw that, as most of our city center, have known similar phenomena of job gentrification. So they really pay attention on how to make their own place and neighborhoods. Dobrze stores are quite a symbol of resistance in some way. So they're showing that cities can be reshaped following citizen needs. As you said, Dobrze cooperative already started process of deep scaling and outscaling, but somehow they also started scaling back processes. So we cannot say at the end if food coop will be the only existing model in the food distribution system. But members of the Dobrze cooperative are taking action, trying to change as far as they can the way members do food shopping. It's not a coincidence that members in the video use words as food as a civil right or food sovereignty. And we know great change comes from first bold steps. Having an impact on the food policymakers, let's say, is always challenging. But we could say that maybe in Poland is even more challenging because of how cooperatives are seen and related to the communist legacy. And this negative perception of the cooperative movement is having an impact not only on policymakers, but also in the elder generation, who conceive cooperative differently from the youngest. Yeah, before concluding, we'll use the word of Michael from the Cheeseboard Collective, a Coop story that we screened in the first episode of the Coop Cinema. If we be successful at the end, nobody knows. And I think is quite related to this question. And lastly, about the European Coop food network, I think this would be an incredible opportunity also just to share idea and best practices among the food coop that just are growing and emerging in all European countries. And yeah, this is just, I think, an important way just to keep networking and apply one of the cooperative principle, cooperation among cooperatives. Thank you, Jacopo.
Okay, thank you very much, Cecile. And before to give the floor to Ilana again, I would like to just to add that think about this topic. It's very important. It's very important in terms of sustainability again, but also about food waste. That it's a very problem that we have in large supermarket, I think not just in Italy, but all around the world. So this kind of new food consumption model, I think are very important also to think about this. But this is for the debate.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jacopo. Thank you, Cecile. Definitely a lot to talk about in the debate. Before we get there, would you like to share a few words with everybody about what it was like to participate in this, in the filming process, in the research process, what it's like to be here and hear us all talking about you? Anything you might like to share, I'd be happy to turn the floor over to you now.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't expect that, actually. It was really interesting and nice to hear Cecile and Jacopo talking about Dobrze and be advocates of the cooperative. It's super, super nice. And what Sara said in the beginning quite resonated with me, and I even put it down that we are very busy with making things and we don't have time to communicate about ourselves. And I think it's very, very true. So I'm very glad that we could take part in this project, and thanks to Sara and the team, our story could be documented. And I'm really amazed how the essence of the co-op is put in this short video. I think it's very, it's not easy to understand the context, the historical context, the urban context, formal context in different countries. So I think it was very well done, and it's very interesting for us to watch it, how people from other country can perceive what Dobrze is. So thanks for letting us be part of this nice story, nice around the world trip.
Thank you so much. And I think you touched on one of the aspects of these videos that that really were influential to us here at Euricse in inviting this partnership, because they really do, in each of the different stories, they touch on different aspects of cooperation, and they don't just give the superficial story of what each cooperative or community is doing, but they go into, you know, very specific themes and topics that are particular to that context, but also can be broadened and discussed and, you know, applied to other contexts as well. So many compliments to the Around the World team, and thank you to the cooperatives involved for sharing your stories as well, and for participating and being here. I'm going to turn to some of the questions in the chat. Somebody asked about financial cooperatives and community empowerment, and I see that Sara posted one of the other videos from around the world that talks specifically about that. Perhaps Jacopo might have something to say as well. To the question was about what about financial cooperatives and community empowerment. But also somebody here raised the point about in Italy, active citizens collaborating with the public institutions for taking care of commons or beni comuni, common goods, urban commons, and the economic impact. And I know that that's something that Jacopo is researching and studying quite a bit. So Jacopo, if you want to say anything about either the commons or the financial cooperatives, these are two questions that have emerged here.
About financial, yes, I can say something about the commons. I think that the question is more related to which is the perception of the commons in Poland. So I know something because I'm doing a project on urban commons with people from Poland, but I think that people from Poland have to answer. So now about financial, I think that of course in the past there was a very strong relationship between financial activities and local community. If we think about how the cooperative movement grow up, they grow up, of course, the financial problem was very important to set up the cooperative movement. We have to think about what we have in Italy comes from the German movement, and we have credit cooperatives that, for instance, in Trentino, they still call it community credit cooperatives. Then, of course, the rule of the game changed in Italy and also all around Europe, but I think also in all around the world. So also local banks change how they relate with their local community. For instance, if we think about big groups, we have in Rabobank in Holland, that now it's considered one of the biggest cooperative banks, and there are a lot of research that are trying to understand if they lose the relationship with their community or not. Because of course banks must move money, so they have also to do activities in a different way. At the same time, I think it's very important to redefine also the role of the credit cooperatives, because again, the world change very quickly. So the private organization must to understand which are the new needs of the local community. So also the banks must to rethink about how it's possible to create a good relationship with their local inhabitants. Because of course, all of us, we need finance in order to do our normal activities, especially if you want to do economic activities. So usually banks say that if you don't have money, I cannot give you money. And of course, it's something very tricky, because if I go to the bank to ask money, it's because probably I don't have money to invest. So I think that the local banks must rediscover again their value, their norms, and maybe put more emphasis on reputation of the people, create new instrument in order to involve people to invest in economic activities. For instance, now we are discussing new instrument like social bonds or new instruments in order to involve people to invest in different kind of economic activities. So people can become inside of cooperatives, they can become financial members. For instance, a good example that everyone knows all around the world is the Barcelona Football Club. Barcelona Football Club was set up by people from Barcelona that invest their own money in order to have this football club inside of the city. So I think that it's important to think about financial aspect, but also to create new instruments in order to involve people inside of the community to invest in projects like, for instance, Food Coop or projects like that. Because if we wait for the bank, probably we're still waiting for many years.
Thank you, Jacopo. Thank you. I don't want to put anyone from Poland on the spot because now that, sorry, I apologize for not reading the question till the end there about the common goods, but it is quite a difficult question. If there is anybody though who is joining us from Poland and would like to say a few words about this question about considering the problem of the communist legacy, what is the perception of the commons in Poland? I don't believe it's a very easy question, but I will put it there. And if somebody would like to say a few words about it, please be our guest. Maybe you can type in the chat that you're willing to answer that question. And in the meantime, I wonder if Sara or if Hannah wants to say anything more about, you know, we've focused on 2 countries here, but you know, we're not working in a vacuum. These aren't the only cooperatives that you've studied or that may exist of this type. If you want to add anything further about any of the other cooperatives that are evolving and developing along, you know, before you were talking about a European food co-op network, you know, do we know how many there are of this type? Do we, you know, what are the developments going on across Europe or across the world with these types of food emporiums that are developing? I don't know if Sara or Hannah might have something to add about that. No, I'm in the business of putting everybody on the spot today.
Of course, I mean, no, I thought that Beata was actually responding because I could see her ready to talk about the commons in Poland. So I was expecting her to actually, I would like her first.
I didn't see her, sorry.
She was ready. She was ready.
I will put my answer on the chat because
No, we want you to answer, Beata. Please.
Because yeah, I'm not sure if I understand the question properly, the commons, but I can say that So there is this communist legacy and the perception of the co-ops among people that were living in the communist times, and we try to change it somehow. But we do cooperate with the public institutions, and at this level, the perception is changed, like it's different. So we have some support and financial support as well. Maybe not financial, but they support us. The municipality support us with the locals that we can rent from the city on lower prices, lower that are on the market. So I guess there is like a movement towards co-ops in Poland, and it can be seen that public institutions see that it's more and more vivid, and people want to cooperate, and they need some support from public institutions to do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sara, did you want to say something else?
Okay, let me just start, actually make it broader, and then on Food Coop I leave to Cecile. But I would like just to stress a bit about the relation with food. That is a bit broader. It's not just the Food Coop model, because honestly, I cannot tell you how many of. I mean, I'm not an expert on that model in the world. So, and I'm sure also that Cecile has some broader knowledge about the origin of the model. So I would like her to answer. But I would like just to make it broader on what we also found during the trip. And obviously my reference is also to the Food Coop. We could call in the same way, although they are producing food, that is in California. So how the cooperating, so the working together actually can be another way to give sense, to give meaning to food and what is around the food industry. So the right to food meant as a right to food as a consumer, but right to food as a worker working in the food industry, and to have a meaningful relation while producing food. So actually, and I'm thinking, of course, to the cooperative that we, the story that we screened last time in California, where actually being in the cooperative, so working a cooperative way can make the difference. Also, so either producing food, and this we could notice in many agricultural cooperatives that we told the story, but also working in the food industry, like in the United States, and so with as tough it is to get labor rights, and how they managed to have in one of the most capitalistic regions in the world through the cooperative model, and the Food Coop that we told the story in Poland, but of course that now I leave Cecile to talk about in US and other countries in Italy. But I just want to spot the light on the fact that working together can really reshape the meaning about all the different level of relation that we have around food. And I think this is interesting somehow.
Yes, I'm not a Food Coop specialist neither, but it's quite interesting to see how Food Coop started emerging in the US in the 70s, around 70s, and then are appearing now in Europe, not nowadays, but recently, let's say. And the thing that is fascinating me about Food Coop, so I'm doing my PhD in Rochdale, so the birthplace of the cooperative movement. And it's really interesting because I see the values and principles of the pioneers applied to these Food Coops. So even more than the different COP group or normal consumption cooperative, let's say. And it's really interesting because they are combining different aspects of cooperation. So having access to decent food at honest price, that was one of the pioneers' motto. So, and then also trying to create a sustainable in different aspects supply chain, and also linking really the democratic aspect that belongs both to cooperative and then to the food system, let's say. And I think it's a quite a model that could be just applied to what the society needs nowadays. So what are really the needs of the society related to the food distribution? So here I see really a great opportunity for the cooperative movement, actually, here with the food COP and then with the platform COP that we started in the last COP Cinema event. So really much, I think when we talk about innovation, here I see the food COP and the platform COP, but even though that food COP really are rediscovering something that used to be from the very, very, very beginning of the cooperative history and the cooperative model. So I'm sure that Jacopo will want to add something, as he knows a lot about the Italian food COP model and other food COP model as well.
Jacopo, would you like to add something? Okay.
No, not to add, no, because I think that what Cecile says, I agree with her. I think that in Italy, we are now developing this kind of model because people recognize that tradition, probably, it's my opinion, traditional consumption cooperatives are not enough in order to satisfy new needs. So, of course, if my needs is just to pay less for the product, I can go to the traditional consumption cooperatives, I can go to the discount supermarket and so on. If I want to do something more, if I want to be involved in the decision-making process, I'm not able to do in a traditional consumption cooperatives, because yes, I can go to the assembly, I can vote, but I can just say yes or not. I don't have enough power in order to change something very important. This new food COP, this new cooperative model, as we have seen, that ask to the people, be not just a member that buys something, but also to be a voluntary inside of the organization in order to help the organization to do their work. I think that the level of involvement or the level of engagement, it's completely different. So if you want to involve, and this is, I think, also, I've tried to answer to the question of Marvin Sanon, sorry for the pronunciation of the name, that he asked why it's difficult for cooperatives in a developed country to empower the community. It's not difficult only in undeveloped countries. I think it's difficult everywhere. It's difficult because, of course, we must work a lot with the people in order not just to share values, because this could be the easiest part, but in order to really spread our goals, our aims that are not just really strictly related to our activities, but sometimes it's something more bigger than our activities. So we need to work a lot, to work hard in order to really work with the people, to really discuss with the people. Of course, if we discuss with people in the same ways of us, it's easy. The problem is to spread our ideas to people that think in different ways. And it's very difficult because if I ask to people with no time, with less money, to invest their time and their money in something completely different, of course they say, sorry man, but I can't. So we must go over this kind of problem to share, as I said before. If I have more time or more money, I have to share my time or my money for the benefit of the community. So if I don't have time, but I have money, I can invest my money in order to provide new kind of services. If I don't have money, but I have time, I can be a voluntary inside of this organization in order to invest my time. Then, of course, if I don't have both of them, I have to discuss with kind of people and see them with concretely example, not just with nice words, but providing them new kind of services and goods, how it's possible to change the situation. But it's difficult. As I said before, it's very difficult. It's not an easy process.
And if I can add here, when we're talking about motivation, this is actually, we found in all the story that we told, they are bottom-up story. They are truly the results of collective action. And I think this is actually something that can make the difference. In all this context, there was a very clear and identified need. And so we go back to what we were saying at the beginning of this, and probably it's the closing circle. But when actually, when it works, is when the community actually has a very clear identified need. And here I suggested the Nepalese video, but there, for instance, it was very clear about financial cooperative. The only possibility to have a loan was to ask to the landowner, and they asked it land as a collateral. And many people that were not investing their money because it was just helping families to cover the expenses, basically entering a debt trap with their kids going to work on the landowner land, and the women ending up giving up their lives. So in a context, so difficult context at community level like this, so the option, the only option is to find a way out. And the community can, but the way that they found for the community to be cohesive, I mean, to have the cohesion, social cohesion, to find the solution of that problem, was also to identify, and this is the importance of the good leadership, is that to identify that horizontal leadership that very often is not only in one person that can have the kind of power over attitude, but that horizontal leadership that actually really help to motivate people and help most people to be active agent of their process. So it's not, of course, there's not a one unique recipe, because each community then found its own way into that path and find their own solution. But of course, I mean, when the community is, really identify and feel the need, then they also can find, and as a good leadership, they can also find then step by step the solution, the common solution, keeping that motivation high, because then it was also important that the organization can continue serving in an effective way, so people keep being motivated and identifying the collective action really the answer to their need. So that's just to contribute and probably trying to close the circle with a beginning.
Yes, thank you, Sara. And we are over the time that we had allotted for the meeting. And I really want to thank everybody for sticking with us here and for participating with your questions, and to all of our panelists for this very enriching conversation. If any of the our panelists here want to give any closing remarks, I think we'll just give a few more minutes to the debate and then sign off until the next time, which will be very soon on December 9th, when we're going to have our third installment of the Co-op Cinema webinar series. And we're going to be viewing 2 of the Around the World .coop documentaries from South America. So we're very much looking forward to that. But if any of our panelists today would like to just give some closing remarks, and then we'll sign off until the next time.
Hi, Lana. Maybe I can say something super brief. Thank you so much for this discussion and for very interesting thoughts that's been through this session. I've really enjoyed it. I see that there was one question still in the chat about how many people that you need to form a cooperative in respective countries. Just to say that I'm happy, I will add one of our resources. So we have a website called Coops for Dev, where we have a lot of analysis done on many countries for legal frameworks for cooperatives. And there you can also see the different frameworks and what you need to do to start a cooperative in your respective countries. So I know that for both Poland and Italy, the analysis are already on this map, so you can check it out. But thank you so much for this session.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you so much. And that's a great reminder. If you could put those resources in the chat, that would be really helpful. And, you know, again, there's also all the other videos from around the world, as well as the resources on the Euricse webpage. So thank you. Anybody else would like to say something in closing? Okay, thank you so much then for joining us. And again, it really was an enriching conversation, and so many topics that we touched on today, and I'm sure some of these will come up again next time. So thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you to the participants, the Around the World team, Euricse, and Co-ops for Development, and we will see you on December 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ileana.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.